Oh shit! I started on the wrong one. All right.
Clicked the wrong button.
Oh damn it! All right. Well, that's my bad. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Mitch's Minute. Amanda couldn't make it this week because she had some personal stuff come up, so it's just gonna be me and Ren this week. Oh shit! I hit my mic. Fuck. I wanted to kind of just go over some stuff real quick before we get started on today's episode. It is very important that if you are a fan of the show, that you check out at least the first 5 minutes of Mitch's Minute every week, because it tells you if oh, we're gonna be doing this or this. We're gonna this show's gonna get moved back or something. The first 2 days this week, Monday and Tuesday, are not gonna have Fire Emblem episodes, because I figured I'd give you guys a small break because it seems like it's a lot to digest and stuff. We upload 13, 11 videos this week, except for today I didn't upload anything. But that's because I need to just preface this. Every September things get really, really stupidly hard on my end. Just emotionally and shit. It's just a lot of personal stuff. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers who goes into the details or anything, but essentially all that really boils down to is I lost my brother a couple years back. September is just a rough month for me in general, and if I seem off in videos, because I did unfortunately do some recording sessions, and I'm noticing it. I'm noticing that oh shit, I'm explosive and all that shit. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. That's normally because it's some dumb performance bullshit. If I'm not at 100%, it doesn't help. So
that's fair enough, and yeah, that's
well, I don't want to talk about I don't want to be that person to be yeah, let me throw my personal problems in your fucking face. It's more I just want I don't know. I don't know what I want. But I just want you guys to know if I seem off, or if there's a week where maybe there's not a Mitch's Minute, or if there's a week where I'm hey guys, no episode Saturday or Sunday. It's just really hard to balance everything out, and it's weird because the first couple years, September would come and it's oh, it's so, September 1st would be all right, gotta be there for my folks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately I am about 3 hours away, and I think it's hitting me a little early because I'm well, I can't be there, and that's upsetting. And it's anyways, I don't, like I said, don't want to be one of those YouTubers to get way too into it and make it all that shit. I don't want to do that.
I get it, and not gonna try and force you into it, but yeah, you take the time you need there, Mitch.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, so we're gonna have a fun time. I don't want to bring it all down before we get started. It's just I need you guys to know every September, if I'm off, that's why, and I will probably say it again next year, and I'll say it again, probably before whatever. It's just I don't realize it, or I don't recognize it, and in previous years I didn't say anything and it didn't help. So just getting it out there. But for our first roll, for our first
topic, we are presenting the topic that is related to our title, Florpus Porcus.
That's
because that's a thing.
All right, so let's preface this real quick. So Ren, you didn't watch Invader Zim as a kid, right?
No, I did not. I watched other things, including weirdly obscure Italian children's cartoons.
Jesus.
But not Invader Zim.
All right.
Even though I think that was a pretty big thing.
All right. For those of you that don't know, Invader Zim was a show that was back in the mid-early 2000s, something like that. And it's kind of a weird show because essentially it's about this alien that comes to Earth. And his whole gimmick is that he's supposed to try to invade it, but his leader is the tallest, never really had faith in him, so they kind of sabotaged him from the very start.
Aw, poor dude.
And they think he's annoying and stuff. So so the gimmick is that Zim's trying to take over the Earth, but because he just has so many incompetent, like a computer that yells at him and is angry. You have Gur, class, the fucking poster child of Invader Zim, where Gur is a robot, but like with a bunch of like stuff wrong with him, and so his brain doesn't work properly. And so like it's just, and it's it's kind of funny. And you have Mini Moose, and you have a bunch of like goofy stuff.
Wait, Mini Moose, is that just a character's name, or is it an actual miniature moose?
It's a little robotic Mini Moose. It's like a plush. It's not plush, but like he's tiny and he has like antlers. And I forgot all about his existence until this movie, Invader Zim: Enter the Florpus.
Sounds delightful.
He's tiny and he's cute. And my favorite thing about we'll get into it. But essentially, Invader Zim was all about this character trying to make his futile attempts to understand Earth culture and eventually take them over. You had Dib Membrane, who was his like direct counter, and he was. It's funny because he wore like a trench coat.
Professor Membrane.
Professor Membrane.
I don't know, JHKGYG098. Also, do you have an easier way to pronounce, or another name we can call you JHKGYG098?
Oh, okay. Oh my god.
Daddy Professor Membrane.
Okay, that's his dad.
Okay.
And so like there's this bit where like essentially Dib is the son of like a mad professor. And so but the professor's always like, oh, but it has to be scientific and you have to prove it. And Dib's like, I will prove it. I will. And then like he never does. And it's funny.
So basically he's like the sister from Phineas and Ferb.
Exactly. And so like you have this fun little dynamic where it's like Invader Zim is a show that's just about it's just about this alien who messes up, and it's goofy and fun, and it's really dark sometimes. Like the humor can be a little on the darker side. There's a particular episode I think too in my childhood where Zim wants to pass like a health inspection or something.
Like his secret evil lair has to pass a health inspection.
No, I'm sorry.
Medical
check. He needs to pass a medical check. I made it sound like his he needs to pass.
I mean, both options sound hilarious because I'm just imagining like a health inspector coming in to his evil lair and like correcting it so that it's ADA compliant.
That's right.
Or OSHA. No, OSHA's the office thing. It's like making sure that the whole thing is OSHA compliant.
So there's so in this episode, Zim like is like, oh well, more human organs means more health, and so he like steals kids' organs and sews them up with the wrong things, and it's like weirdly body horror-ish for like a kid show.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like maybe these producers had some things to work out.
Well, okay, so that's the trick. So the guy who wrote this, I always fuck up his first name. It's like Johan Vasquez. He's known for having a darker sense of humor, but the thing is, the show, correct me if I'm wrong, the show was canceled because essentially a lot of people there was enough complaints by like kind of to cover last week's subject.
Concerned parents.
Exactly. So like it's weird. But like the show eventually ended up being canceled despite it being kind of like this weird show that a lot of people liked. And so like years down the road, Hot Topic would sell Invader Zim's merchandise and stuff like that. When I was in high school, like you see Gur everywhere on t-shirts and stuff. And one of my favorite interactions, I sound like a fucking robot when I say that. I was talking to Gang Mudo yesterday because we recorded some stuff, and one of the things we were talking about was Enter the Florpus, and she's like, I never saw the show, but she wore Gur stuff because Gur was cute. And so all that prefaced and all that aside, let's talk a little bit about Enter the Florpus. So plot summary, because I actually went to IMDb to get a plot summary. Zim discovers his almighty leaders never had any intention of coming to Earth, and he loses confidence in himself for the first time in his life, which is a big break for his human nemesis, Dib, has been waiting for. So,
Yeah, that sounds like he's gonna go through a whole ass identity crisis right there.
Well, you'd think that, but the movie. Okay, so before I like I said, I don't really want to go into spoilers or anything like that.
Mm.
This movie had me laughing from beginning to end. The intro to this fucking movie is so fucking funny. And I can't express enough how just delightful and like fun this was. I watched this movie Friday morning because I was about to go into work, and it's such a good it's such a good fun time, and like I can't emphasize, like, it's an hour and 10 minutes. So even if you haven't watched the show, I still recommend you at least check it out, just because it almost feels like a relic in terms of sorry, in terms of how the humor is constructed, because it feels like it feels like the show never ended. Because you have Vasquez on the project, the humor is still the same, with like maybe a few changes here and there. So like now, like, there's like a plot line where it has to do with like, oh, this bracelet you can play apps on your bracelet and stuff, and it's so I can't express enough how like I missed this. And like it's this weird thing that you ever experience this thing where like you don't know what you're missing until like you feel it again.
Yes.
Like I hadn't laughed as hard as I had in like a bit. Like it's just it took me by surprise. I completely forgot this was coming out. And so, like, I was like, oh, well, why not? Let's watch it. I'm just on a whim. And, like, I liked Invader Zim as a kid. I'll check it out. And, like, it is so true to its form and unapologetic. And there's so many just tiny bits that work so well. Just Mini Moose as a concept is so cute and dumb. I will say the one.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well, he's just a mini moose. He's a tiny ball with antlers, and just like some of like the dumb little lines. Like there's a scene very early on in which Mini Moose like goes up to someone's car, and the kid's like, that's the pizza sticker that's on my mom's car because she loves pizza, and Mini Moose uses whatever weird powers it has to slowly take the sticker off. And the kid's just like, no, don't do it though.
Why?
Because he wants the sticker. And then he puts the sticker on himself, and he's like, yeah. And he fucking like goes away, and I'm like,
now
oh my.
I am Pizza Moose.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But I love it so much, and like it's one of those things where it's like I can't.
This sounds like the kind of show that probably gets a great use out of the concept of a comedy of errors.
Yes. It's so, like, a lot of, another bit, not to, like, go, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but there's this one very specific bit that had me on the floor. So Zim, is, like, sitting on a throne, and he's just like, yes! Yes! And he pushes, he's like, where's the flames? I need flames behind the chair. All good, like, invaders, have flames.
Need to have ominous flames.
And so he pushes
they're evil.
He pushes the flames button, and peanuts come flying out. And he's like, what is this? And Gur's like, oh, try the peanuts button. And I'm sitting there like I can't deal with how funny this is. Because
why was there a peanut button?
Yeah, well, that's the question, right? So why was there a peanuts button? So he's like looking at the board. He's like, flames. He's, peanuts! And he like hits the peanuts button, and now the flames are coming out. And that's where the joke would end with any other show, right? It's like, oh, it's goofy, it's silly. There was a peanuts button when there wasn't. Why would you need the peanuts button? But then the flames stop. The pipes that give the flames out become filled with peanuts because the peanuts button was activated first. And so now flaming peanuts are flying everywhere. And it's like, peanuts! Like he's trying to dodge the peanuts that are on fire, that are flying everywhere. And he's like he's so determined. Any other show would have stopped with like the flames appear and then everything goes back to normal, right? It's like, oh, why would there be peanuts? But the fact that there's peanuts now flying everywhere on fire, like while he's trying to enjoy his victory, is so fucking funny. It is so goddamn good. So like you've never seen Invader Zim, and for a lot of people, they probably didn't watch Invader Zim. There's just that generational kind of thing, the kind of gap. I still recommend it. You know, it's hard. From my understanding, I don't think Netflix has like. I don't think Netflix has old Invader Zim episodes on there, but
I'm sure they exist on the internet somewhere.
oh my god, there's so many. It's so weird because it feels like I was watching like this piece of art that like really formed my senses of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like because I think about like there's so many bits I can't get into them because I don't want to spoil them because I'm like, hey, Ren, this is like your homework assignment for like next week. Go watch this hour-long movie. You tell me what you think, and don't feel like you have to like it. I just want to know, like, is it a generational thing? Is it something where like where it's like, is it just like, am I stupid? No, or is it like, you know, because clearly,
or maybe it's like a difference in senses of comedy or something. But I mean, from the clips, like, because you know, I have a Tumblr account, and Tumblr has a gajillion gifs, and some of them are of Invader Zim, and they seemed vaguely amusing. I just never went out of my way to watch it.
Yeah, no. Well, I think it also like I'd say the thing with Zim is that like I feel like a lot of the context, like not context, but a lot of the things that make those things funny don't really come across in the GIF. So like it's definite.
I remember there was like a video where they were shouting across what was meant to be a busy highway, and there was like the sound for it, but then the animators forgot to put in all the cars that were meant to be there.
Oh, God.
Which was weirdly funny to watch because they're just yelling at each other across this loud bank of noise that doesn't exist.
Oh my God, there's so many bits. That's the thing. I'm so glad it's an hour and not like hour and a half or 2 hours. It's an hour of just so many solid bits, and like it's one of those things where like I don't normally rewatch things with like by myself, but there's a good chance that I'll probably just like if I'm bored, I might just put on the background or something like that, and because it's like that. I don't know. So like I watched, not to get off topic, I watched something called Frankenstein's Monster. No, was it Frankenstein's Monsters Frankenstein Monster? It was some. I see, now I gotta fucking pull up. I don't want to talk about this because it wasn't good. It's not good. So I'm trying to.
Was it bad enough to have a rant for it?
It's enough to talk about without going too like into it. So essentially, it's a 22-minute short or 32-minute short video. So like using David Harbour as like kind of like the centerpiece, and it talks about his father and stuff like that. And I'm looking it up right now, and it's like on Rotten Tomatoes it has 82%. I was so bored by that, and like and that was what like that was the thing I watched like before. Like it was like Thursday, and I was bored, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just watch this. And it on paper, it's a really funny idea. But for some reason, how it was edited, I think, lost a lot of its flavor. Yeah. David Harbour's a great actor, but like it just lost a lot of its flavor. So like, going into like from like a 32-minute mockumentary style bit where a lot of the jokes didn't land if they were supposed to land, or maybe I just didn't get the jokes because I'm not like, you know, like an actor or whatever.
The demographic it was targeted at or something.
Yeah, I came into this where like Vasquez kind of hit it out of the park. And I will say this, one of my favorite things about Vasquez is when he was interviewed about the Invader Zim stuff, he was like, yeah, a lot of people have been messaging me and tweeting me and stuff like that about how this was like, you know, finally you gave a finale to Invader Zim. This is exactly what I wanted. And a lot of people, and like his response to that was like, I didn't make a finale. There is no finale. I just made more Zim. And I'm like, that's a great fucking answer, because he was
Yeah, because
canceled.
I mean, if he wants to make more Zim, he can, well, hopefully retrieve the rights from the animation studio to make more Zim.
Well,
Or
that's kind of the trick is like I want to know because after watching this I'm like, man, I could really go for more Zim. I could really
yeah, it
like
seems like he still has ideas for it,
it
which
was
is kind of fun and a shame that it didn't get to continue as long as the author still had good ideas for it. Because I've seen some shows continue long after the authors had stopped having good ideas for what they were doing, and be nice to see some that actually get the shot to show their good ideas.
yeah. I will also say that like if you guys like I'm trying to be really I'm trying to pull back on some of like the things I want to talk about with this one just because it like it is one of those things where it's like I don't want to spoil too much. If you guys haven't seen Invader Zim's Enter the Florpus, it literally just came out Friday. Go check it out on Netflix. You will hopefully you will also be laughing like your fucking ass off. It is so goddamn good. And that's all I really have to say about it. Next week, I would love to hear what you have to think about, or what you have to say about it, because
Yeah, and I might even have some opinions on another movie that I will hopefully be getting to see this week that also has over 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what it is?
what's up?
The new Dora the Explorer live
Oh my
action movie,
fucking god!
which looks absolutely ridiculous, but also potentially delightful.
I've heard
Dora has a knife.
Okay, so I heard that it's one of those movies where if you were like a kid who watched the show, you will greatly appreciate what they've done.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least there's that. At least it's not hot garbage. And I kind of feel bad because there's the people out there who are like, oh, I hope it's hot garbage so I can make fun of it. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, bud. Because like, I'm all for like watching something because it's like, not
Seems
garbage.
like it's gonna. It seems like it'll be a fun romp, whether it's a masterpiece of modern cinema or just a fun family film. I don't care. It just looks like I'll get to laugh a couple times and enjoy some fun characters. And honestly, if that's what I get from it, I'll be happy with that.
That's fair.
I don't need it to be a critically acclaimed masterpiece winner of 1,000 Oscars. It looks like a movie that might be fun, and honestly, I sometimes need a little bit of fun in my life.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's a movie I've been wanting to watch now for a couple weeks called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's one of those things where it's like every now and then you just have a hankering for stories. And I think one of the things I will say from this week is I had a real ass moment where I realized that I was in taking more critiques and analysis than I was of substance.
Yeah.
Which is like that's a good way of saying like I was over seasoning my meat. I was like too much dissection on material.
Like some dissection is good, but also sometimes you need to enjoy something.
Yeah, and so there's another thing we'll talk about later on in the podcast this week. But for right now, I just want to end the Invader Zim section of this podcast by saying this was really good. If you haven't checked it out, go see it. It's on Netflix right now. It's an hour and 10 minutes. What could hurt? You know, it's an hour and 10. Go watch this. Enjoy yourselves. Like I watched it under like some like interesting circumstance, but like go check it out. Like get some popcorn and enjoy yourself. This is just a laughsome minute. It is so good. That being said, we did have a topic for this week that was more central because Amanda isn't in town, and this was the only picture of Bakugo I could find that was like a screenshot, which was not great because I was like I wanted to find a screenshot that was like a high quality picture. But tonight's conversation topic was actually brought up by Ren. Ren, why don't you go ahead and explain to the audience what today's topic is?
The topic of the day is character that's really popular, but you don't get why.
Is that it?
Well, I mean, and also like kind of actively dislike maybe. For me, my example is Bakugo because he seems to be very, very popular, and there are some people that I get, like Mitch. You explained to me earlier why you enjoy his
Oh
character,
fuck yeah!
and
I
yeah, and like I'm not saying people can't enjoy him. It's just there's some interesting takes on his character that I've seen, and I'm just like, you know what? No.
Okay, so I'll give you my theory, right? Um, so I like Bakugo because he's mean and he's cocky, but like the one thing I've always loved about a good character that are those
Mhm.
types is most of the time when a character is written to be cocky and arrogant and mean, it's supposed you then see the main character beat the shit out of them, and it's
Mhm.
supposed to be this hey, don't be an arrogant bitch kind of like
Mhm.
mentality. But with Bakugo, he has things to back himself up. He has
Yeah.
natural talents, he has natural skills, and he also trains hard and is able to do the shit that he's able to do. I
Mhm.
also only got to season 2 of My Hero Academia before I kind of needed to stop. And actually, it's kind of funny because the next topic has something to do with why I needed to stop.
I am
Um,
curious.
but the thing that I really liked about him when I was watching the show was that
Mhm.
I liked his design, I liked his power, I thought he was just cool. But
Yeah.
I also like the fact that it felt like he was going to start an arc. Like it felt like he was
Yeah.
going to be like one of those characters where it's like I was told my whole life I'm the best, but I'm not going to eat a piece of the humble pie. I'm going to train hard now.
To prove that I actually am.
Exactly. And I think that that's such a
Yeah, and
different way to
I
interpret a
think
character.
that could be an interesting and great way to do a character. I just wish it was any other character than the one whose first introduction is suicide baiting the protagonist.
I mean, okay, but that's the thing. I
Because he never really moves past that, and
he
he never
doesn't.
really changes on that front. I don't mind that he's cocky or that he's self-assured. I think those aspects of his personality are fun. I my school had bullies in it. And he kind of reminds me of them in several unfortunate ways, and it's just I'm not a big fan of bullies that are presented as, but actually this is like a two-sided thing cuz he like has this insecurity about Midoriya doing stuff, and it's like no, that Midoriya's not actually doing anything. He's just doing his best to improve his own life, and I don't know. I don't like the fact that his like he just goes around physically assaulting people because they tick him off. I don't know.
No,
I mean, again, I get what like he's in. I get what makes him interesting. Like his dynamic with a lot of the other characters is pretty fun. But it comes with a whole lot of. But also remember all that shit he did, and I don't know. I'm not very good at moving past those kind of blocks.
I can see I can see why that would be like a thing. I think that that kind of adds to when you're writing a character that's supposed to be unlikable. I mean, not to be like, ooh, I do D&D. When I've had to write characters that were supposed to be unlikable, though, when I started off, I was real shit tier at it.
Hmm.
Because what happened was I would go too far. So
Yeah.
and so I think that that's kind of one of those situations in which like maybe the writer went a little too far with it, and he had to
Hmm.
back down. Maybe at the very beginning he's like, well, I don't expect like Bakugo is supposed to go, pretty hard, but having
Did
that
he have to go that hard? Like, I'm not saying he couldn't be a dick, but
right.
there's like a threshold to dickery.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and I think that because do you still watch My Hero Academia or like is that like
No, still keep up with what's happening in it, but just sort of like I've seen like sort of like the images of Endeavor, the child beater and wife torturer is now getting a redemption arc,
uh
except not really because he's basically just going, I'm totally great now and everybody just needs to take my word for it.
I okay, so Endeavor is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, he is a whole other thing.
I feel like that's one of those things. Because that's the thing. I like characters that are.
Mhm. I mean, I enjoyed see like the thing is I enjoy him as a villain, as an antagonist. He's a good character,
Yeah.
but you can't like do all these things to show how super fucked up and terrible he is and then just sort of like go, "Okay, can you please forget about that for a couple seconds?"
Yeah.
And like look at how sad he is now about these things. He's totally a good guy now, right? Right?
Well. okay, so that could be interpreted as like rush writing or something like that. Characters that have to go through the process of redemption normally it
there's
takes a
like
lot
that.
longer.
That's why it's called a redemption arc, not a redemption hop.
Yeah, so like that's the thing. I like Endeavor, not as a character. I love his design.
No.
I love his
Oh
design.
yeah,
I love his
like the
power. I love the
aesthetics of the
concept.
design. Yeah, he's got a great character concept from the start, and he's an interesting one to see on the screen.
But Endeavor's like the type of character I like though, where it's like on a public image view, like he's supposed to be like the number 2 hero, but he's also like a horrible husband and a horrible like father.
I mean, he's basically kind of like what we start seeing in the news about, like, oh, we find out that all these super famous billionaire people are actually terrible, and it's like, yeah, if we had the same, like, if the whole quirks and heroes concept existed in the real world, he'd probably be a real person.
We're
who
gonna
existed.
get. I swear to God, you have no idea how like interesting like that topic. It's coming back later. We're covering.
Oh yeah, I'd love to talk about the real world implication of all the shit that goes down.
So
in
that is going to be
up for that conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna have a fun talk about how I'm only halfway through a show that's all about that. Anyways, okay, so that's the thing. When you say like when you're talking about shit. I think the stream stopped for like a second because I think
it's still going from what I see.
Okay. I hit the wrong button and I was like, oh no.
I still have a live stream.
You still have a live stream. All right. Well,
yes.
Okay. Well, let's just hope that's still popping. So there is this. It's hard for me to find a character that's like that, essentially, where a character in which everyone likes, but I find problematic or dislike. It's because when I think of that, I think of oversaturated Garnet from Steven Universe. I think that's it's not even dislike. I don't dislike her.
You've seen enough of her.
No, not even that. It's how they treated her writing wise. In the first season of Steven Universe, let me see if I can actually do something in studio mode real quick where I can like pull up an image of Garnet. And in the comments down below, let me know if the stream's still going because I don't fucking if it is, you wouldn't be able to. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be able to hear it. Okay, so here's the thing. Back in season 1 of Steven Universe, Garnet was supposed to be this character who was cool, collected, and like, and all that stuff. She was essentially like, she was like the cool character. She was like, she was kind of like the big, like, like Pearl was elegant and I guess a good way. Stupid Dungeons and Dragons shit has corrupted my goddamn brain. But like, if like Amethyst was a fighter and fucking and like Pearl was a fencer like esque character, Garnet was, for all intents and purposes, like Garnet is like the tank.
Stream is now listed as off.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So. Okay, well, some people are saying. Okay, yeah. Hang on a second. I think